Good afternoon, beautiful family of light. Much love and blessings to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Ascension Walk Series. And this one is dedicated to the art of hearing. This is a very important topic on this episode 10, and I'm delighted to share this with you. Thank you first for those of you who are returning back, as well as turning that notification bell and sharing the videos. I really appreciate it. And those of you that are new, thank you so much for subscribing, as I really, truly appreciate this material being able to be received and shared by those who are called to it. The algorithm really helps. So let's talk about this important topic, the art of hearing. When we are walking on this ascension embodiment journey, this ability to be able to hear really changes, because we have to be here in this now. So there's this hearing, which we hear from our physical eyes. That's been part of our human experience with the 5D, the five senses, not 5D, the five senses. And we've been able to hear with our physical eyes, which is physical ears, which is very important. And as we go on our ascension journey, our higher senses open up. And our higher senses want to embody into this human template, and for it to become that beautiful bridging of heaven on earth and truly living from our Christed light, that luminous light that has turned on within. And the listening becomes very different. Hearing becomes very different. That's why I call it the art of hearing, because it is an art. We move from hearing from our physical ears to truly hearing from our heart. And this is a huge shift. The way often on a 3D level, when we hear with the five senses and just flat out hearing from here, we're hearing at such a surface level. And often, literally, you heard it, that it comes from one ear and goes out the other ear. That's why it's so ineffective. And you get to see people repeat things over and over because they never actually hearted. Then it never dropped in. It was just here in this plane. It was never observed into the body. So it was never embodied because it was never heard by the heart. Now, what's even more important is that often they may have just heard something with their ear, but they never even actually listen. So there are a few stages between this. To be able to first hear, okay, that's one thing. The next is to actually listen. Listening comes to being able to just get quiet enough. So it's really in this space. So you go from here to this space to be able to come here. So when, let's say, you want to bring something to the awareness of your child, right? And you want to share this. So when you're expressing it, if it goes through the ear of the child, it goes from one ear to another. But if the child actually listens, it starts to come here. But that's not even really hurting or hearing yet. Once it listens, then it may not respond to that. It may have just listened, and then even off, he or she went off to do whatever else needed to be done. But it was never observed. The next stage, which I'm speaking to, referring to this art of hearing, which is really hearting, that's your higher senses. That's your past 7, 8, 9 senses, which is part of your spiritual gifts, your higher spiritual gifts, is when you begin to actually pay attention, not just hear with your physical ears, you're also listening, and then you're hearting. That means you're digesting, because it's connected to your solar plexus. So you can really bringing it into the body and hearing what is being said. Because once you're able to hear truly by hearting what was said, then you'll be able to respond from there. That means you're responding from your heart. Often when you're hearing with your physical ears, it goes in, goes out, and then you respond very sharp, quick from the masculine energy. It doesn't sink in, and often individuals repeat the same thing. So the behavior never ever changes. Now, if they actually listen, that can adjust the change in behavior because it begins to drop in, and then there's perhaps a desire to create a change. But until it is dropped into the heart and really hearted, that means the compassion, the care has kicked in, then that's when one thing is actually hearted, heard, and that's that art that has given. It is a higher mastery way of living because it's the master senses coming in. And why I'm sharing this, that is important, because often right now when we have a conversation, like let's say you want to bring something awareness to your partner or to your brother or to your mother, a lot of times they just hear it very quickly from their ears, and then they interrupt you. Then they're not actually listening to what you're saying. They just want to ask their next question and next question. And it feels so imbalanced and disharmony. It doesn't feel good because once we've opened up to our higher senses, our higher spiritual senses through this ascension walk, we truly want to communicate from this place. That means we really want to heart each other. Okay, let me see, what did you say, so I can digest it, so I can be really respectful and caring and compassionate to what is important to you. And that's really the Christ heart. Often, especially, this really applies to those who are in the male form. They're busy going to another one, to another one, to another thing, to another thing. They can't even give just 15 seconds to just be present, to hear. That means they're going to have to listen. That means you're going to have to heart it, to then for it to click, to be able to actually apply from that heart. And this is what's completely missing. And it is a true art of mastery. It really, really is. And it's something that I have really struggled with some of my closest loved ones, because there's times that I just want to really bring up something that just that, let's say, didn't sit well with me. The ability to have to just bring it up and communicate, not blame, not shame, just say, okay, when for example you took this action, this is what took place. So naturally, of course, everything is already within us, but it gives the ability to communicate. So we can say, okay, this is, for example, this stressed me out. But when the person that you're ready to share this with, they're not ready to hear physically, they're not ready to listen from here, they certainly can't heart it. So then they'll interrupt you, and then from there, they can't even see what you're saying. They can't even observe it or digest it. So naturally, it bypasses, and then they can go into their own world of questioning. And also, what's even more interesting, then twist things around, because now suddenly it's all about their way of explaining everything, and they completely lost the moment to be able to exercise their higher spiritual gifts in this place because of something came up, to be able to then bring it to a resolution, bring it to a place that this light has shined on it, to be able to make the next changes, make the positive changes, bring it here. And I've just learned to really step away, walk away when I'm in that presence, because it just doesn't feel good anymore. Because I know how wonderful it is when the opportunity has come up just to be able to share, and how beautiful it is when it's hearded and it's loved, it's cared, it's compassionate, and how wonderful it is on the receiving end. And then on a result, then you get to really hear what was happening in the other person, and how beautiful that way of living is. And that's what I just strive for. That's what calls to me. I really love living from my higher senses, and it is challenging because most of the individuals interacting with, they're nowhere near there. And the ability to hear, that means they have to be open into their feminine energy. If they're in their masculine mind and they haven't just dropped back again, it completely misses everything, because they need to go to another one, and it's quick and it's disruptive. So it is truly an art to hear, and it's the art of hurting. That's what really it is. And I love to hear your comments. What is your experience? Are you desiring the same, and how are you going through it? I just keep visualizing that, and also meeting a lot of the sadness along the way when I am treated in that harsher way, that can't hear, so they keep repeating the same things over and over. Just doesn't happen. And to me, it's like, here's this possibility. And also understanding that what shows up in me is also part of that, because I'm meeting those disappointment energies in me, and that's part of me to forgive him, to allow him to move forward, and then keep going into the vision of the way what I prefer to see, what feels best to me. And I look forward in hearing your comments. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'll do another one next Wednesday. Much love and blessings to you. Have a beautiful, blessed day.